John Luss here of Luss Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing the Rage Trypan NC, no collar. I really wanted to test this head for a while, and I've gotten a lot of requests for it. And thanks to a buddy, Kyle Williams, who sent me a pack of these to test, I'm able to test them out today. And for all these tests, I'm using my Bowtech SR6, set at 72 pounds, and I'm using Bishop FOC King Arrows for most of the shots, but then I'm also using the Bishop FAD Eliminators for the really hard impact shots. And I'm going to be doing all the tests that I'm doing for 2021, and for a detailed description of what those tests are, please read about them in the description box below this video. But let's check out these broadheads and then put them to the test. Here's a good look at the head close up. The ferrule is made out of titanium and it's been age hardened, which is just a process of hardening that first you add a solution to the metal and you bring it to a super high temperature, then you quench it, bring it down to a really low temperature, and then you heat it up to an intermediate temperature for several hours. And that's why it's called age hardening. And so that just makes the ferrule extra hard, extra durable, resistant to wear, and more readily machinable. And then for the blades, you've got stainless steel blades. They're 0.039 inches thick, so relatively thick blades, and they're double bevel on both sides. Now, you've also got this little collar down here. This is not a retention collar, but rather this is what they call their FAT adapter, okay? Their ferrule alignment technology adapter, which just allows the ferrule to taper smoothly and transition smoothly into the end of the shaft right there. The way it deploys, again, there's no retention ring, there's no O-rings or anything like that, no clips, is just the pressure on these two like blunt wing butts. They're the butts of the blade. The pressure on that causes those blades to slide back and reach their full open position there, which is 2 inches. So you're getting a full 2 inches of cut, plus a little bit extra here. It looks like about 1/4 of an inch from the tip going in the opposite direction. So really cool design. I'm hoping it does really well. I'm hoping it's more durable than some of the other Rages that I've tested in the past, but it looks so far like it's going to be a pretty cool head. But let's see how this Rage Trypan NC performs. .225. It penetrated 6 inches. Here you can see that the blades opened to almost their full position upon impact. They had 1.5 inches of opening on their initial impact, but then, as you can see, the blades began to close because they don't lock open. They began to close, and they reached their closed position, and then they just stayed in that position. .275. It penetrated through 49 layers. Now I'm going to test the opening of the Trypan NC on this thick leather that's stretched tightly over this cardboard box. It opened 1.25 inches on the initial impact. And then by the back of the box, it had opened almost to its full 2 inches of cut, a little short of that 2 inches of cut. Here's the head after going through the MDF 5 times. And as you can see, the blades did bend pretty significantly. That started to happen on the second shot. However, the ferrule is in excellent shape. They spin perfectly well. The blades didn't collapse, they didn't bend laterally, and they didn't break off. So overall, I'd say this held up fairly well, especially compared to the other Rages that I've tested. here's the head after impacting the concrete, and on the good side, it penetrated really deeply into the concrete, and also on the good side, it held together. It didn't break into a bunch of different pieces. On the bad side, it did bend considerably. Now, I know we don't hunt concrete, okay, so you can hold back on your comments saying that, but this is a good test of the structural integrity of the head, and the goal is just to expose the weak points. It doesn't mean it's not a great hunting broadhead, but it does show you what's going to happen in a zero penetration test on a really hard impact like with heavy bone. This is a good indication of the weakness of that really vented titanium ferrule. So what'd you think of the Trypan NC? You know, it performed better than I expected. I've come to kind of expect that most of the Rages that I test are just going to kind of fall apart, okay? But these didn't, okay? They bent, but they didn't break, and they had a lot of good things going for them. Now, that NC, you know, it's an advantage in some ways that you don't have to mess around with the collars and the bands and stuff like that. And I know usually even when a mechanical doesn't open well in testing, it usually does okay on animals because of the hide and the body behind that hide and the tissue being stretched and really tight and so forth. These gave me a bit of pause and a bit of concern about how they would open. And you check out the score sheet and see how they perform in the areas that matter to you the most and see how they stack up to other mechanicals of this size.